What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another Riding Dad channel video, or welcome if it's your first time. Either way, very glad to have you. You saw the thumbnail. We're changing the spark plugs. Let's roll the intro and get into it.
Riding Dad YouTube channel, it's the Riding Dad YouTube channel, it's the Riding Dad YouTube channel, it's the Riding Dad, a thing that you found.
All right, so part of your regular Harley maintenance, as you would assume, just like a vehicle maintenance, just a little bit more often on motorcycles, just like pretty much everything is a spark plug change. Now, if you have a bike like an M8, yeah, I guess really the M8 is the only one besides, I think the Rev Max, the new one, they have it too, but the M8s had 4 spark plugs. So although spark plugs are relatively cheap, 4 spark plugs, you wind up having a Jimmy around the tank, whatever. On the Sportsters, at least the ones with the Evo engines, or I guess really anything with an Evo engine, I suppose, not only are the spark plugs super easy to get to, but there's only 2 of them. So, it's way better. I decided to go with a different spark plug. Don't kid yourself, guys. Spark plugs are not going to like give you 20 extra horsepower or 5 extra torque. It's just not what spark plugs do. Spark plugs literally just burn the fuel. It has no effect on anything like that. What they can help you do is get a little bit better gas mileage and have your engine run a little bit better if they detonate the fuel better for you. These got really good reviews on Dennis Kirk. Really the only reason I got them was mostly just because they were cheaper. Had they been more expensive than the typical NGK Iridiums that I get, I would not have gotten them. These are the E3 spark plugs specifically for this bike. It's the E3.3. They bunch of different ones. It has the NGK models that they replace as well, and then specifically it lists Harley Davidson as a 6R12, which is what these happen to be. So if you have a 6R12 Harley plug, and if you don't know, real quick, the easiest way that I have ever found to find out, kind of certain specs like that is just to go to Dennis Kirk. You plug in your bike info, and then right at the top of wherever you're searching for, it tells you all your specs, like your tire size. If you have a bike with a chain, it'll say that kind of stuff. It's got spark plugs, oil, stuff like that, oil filter. It's got links that you can click, but also just super easy. Also, and I will put the link for it, these specifically were on Amazon, so it was even easier. I didn't have to pay shipping. Probably most of you guys have Prime, but it was just another thing that was super easy to do. So let's move you guys closer. What we are going to have to do is remove the spark plugs. You're going to need to get a kind of typical spark plug socket. I don't know why I was having a little aneurysm there. It is a 5/8. You can find them at really any store. Yes, you could get away with a regular long 5/8, like a deep socket, I believe. I don't see why you couldn't. However, the spark plug specific ones have a little magnet up top. That way when the spark plug is done, it'll come out. You don't really need to have it for motorcycles because the spark plug top is pretty much exposed, but this is the same for spark plugs for cars and everything as well. So if you're ever going to do your own maintenance in your car, it's super easy just to get this. For the heck of it, I will go ahead and list a link to one of these suckers from Amazon. That way you can get both if you don't have this, because spark plugs changing is super easy. So yeah, you're going to need this. And then the only other thing you would typically need is a gap. I don't know if you call it a gap. I am pouring sweat. Florida sucks. Don't move here. We're full. It sucks. But yeah, you're going to need to gap your spark plugs. Yes, they're supposed to come from the factory gapped. No, sometimes they don't always come correctly gapped. It really just depends on the luck of the day or whatever. Now these, you'll see when we get closer and it's kind of close up. I'll show you guys on my hand, like a kind of close up of these. These E3s are a little bit different. So they're supposed to do diamond fire electrode, forces edge-to-edge sparks, optimizing each combustion cycle, producing more power from less fuel with fewer emissions. Whatever. But it is a different style where where you would typically gap it. Now, what I have gathered from searching online forums and stuff like that and reading some stuff on the E3 is that these, you can't really gap. The way, and again, you'll see them, but you can't really bend them because it's dual-sided. It's kind of an enclosed kind of thing versus the typical spark plug just has one, and you can bend that real easy either out or in. So do make sure that your spark plugs, when you get them new, even though they are new in a box, make sure they are correctly gapped, and you can find your gap stuff with the specs on, whatever your spark plug calls for, your bike calls for. You can find them on both. So, move you guys closer. We'll uninstall the old ones with the socket, install the new ones. It's super easy, guys. It's spark plugs. It's going to take like 2 minutes. All right, so first you're going to want to make sure you just pop these off. These basically just kind of friction fit. So just don't wiggle them too much because you can damage them, but you can just wiggle just a slight amount, and then they'll come off, both of these. And again, like I said, the Sportster is super easy because everything is kind of exposed. Go ahead and put your spark plug socket on your spark plug and just loosen them out. Something to note, you should always put, I'm going to do it off camera, but you should always put a little bit of anti-seize on your spark plug threads. It's going to keep it from heat soldering itself to your cylinder, and you definitely do not want that. It's a good time to look at your spark plugs when you take them out. They shouldn't be black and they shouldn't be white. You can actually see now this again, you guys know this was a used bike. Hopefully, I think it's focused there. You can see it's a little bit white over there, but there was evidence of clearly of it running black at some point. What they should be is like an espresso color, like a really dark brown. That's really the color that you want out of a good spark plug. Now, I'll be honest with you, I don't remember offhand which one is lean and which one is rich. I believe, I lied, I do remember. White is lean, it's burning too hot and it's not getting enough fuel air mixture, and then rich is too much, and that is dark black because there's a lot of unburnt crap in there. So that's kind of a good way to tell. And again, with these EFI bikes, you can't really do that much about it besides get a different tune, but carburetor dudes, they would really judge a lot of stuff based on their spark plugs. All right, so now I'll show you what these new ones look like before I pop them in. And you can see, hopefully, if the camera is doing justice, where the end is a little bit different. That's why you can't really bend it that much. It's a kind of a fixed plate on two spots. So what you're going to go ahead and do is make sure you put some anti-seize on the threads. And then you're going to go ahead and just make sure to start it by hand. Don't necessarily use the tool. Definitely don't ever use a power tool for spark plugs anyway, but start it by hand, just make sure it doesn't cross thread anything, and just put it in. Now, yes, these do, just like everything, they have a torque spec, but if you know anything about me and my channel, I don't do torque specs really on much of anything. So I'm gonna tighten them till what I feel, using my experience working with bikes, is a good amount. And we're going to call it that. But I'm sure if I was able to find it relatively easy, for the hell of it, I'll put the torque spec up on the the video right now, the screen. But if I didn't, oh well, you can find it yourself super easy from Googling, using the online powers that be. And again, you can see how easy this is. There is absolutely no reason to take your bike to someplace or somebody to change your own spark plugs. There is absolutely no reason. They're cheap. It's a good, I know a lot of guys will replace theirs about once a year. Just like I said, these were like $6. It's super cheap. It's kind of an insurance policy. Make sure that everything is running good and clean and healthy. When you got them reinstalled, make sure, well, when you got them tightened in, make sure you pop the wires back onto there. They should be good. And then, as a just in case, you can start the bike, make sure that both cylinders are firing. Should be good to go. All right, so you just saw how to change your own spark plugs. It's super easy. There's, again, like I said, there's no reason to pay somebody to do this. There's no reason to feel worried about doing this, especially on a motorcycle. It is the easiest vehicle to do a spark plug change on. Even if you have a bike where you have to lift the tank up or whatever, still way easier than a car. It's just, they're exposed. There's nothing, you don't have valve covers or anything covering them. But yeah, so hopefully these E3s work good. If you see another video about me saying how awful they were and doing another spark plug change in a month, you'll know why. I am not starting the bike because I currently cannot indoors or outdoors necessarily right now because it's an inappropriate time. I will piss my family off and my neighbors off, so I am gonna not do that. But yeah, So check the links in the description for this and all the other stuff. Huge shout out to Tucker Speed because they helped me big time with the video that I have upcoming for you guys. Hopefully, if everything goes well, which I think it will, that's going to be a super exciting video for me and a very unique video. We're going to do some like kind of old school customization, if you will, to this bike. Going to really help me make it into the bike I want to make it into, and I think it's going to help some of you, if not a lot of you guys out there, for a hopefully relatively easy fix for something. But again, huge shout out to Tucker Speed. They are super good with the customer service. They can pretty much get any part you need, even if it's not on the website already. And you get a code, Riding Dad, gives you 10% off pretty much everything on their shop. So they support us, support them. They're super good dudes. They're answering their emails and stuff constantly, and they have some pretty sick builds, so make sure you check them out. The link is in the description as well. Thank you guys very much for watching, and until the next time, ride safe, have fun, Dad out.